Hi everyone, this is Gerald Excel from channel Duello, and today we're going to be focusing on another one of the top tier decks in the game right now. Another, I would say, deck highlight video. In the previous one, I did it for Jackpot. This time it's going to be Nilfgaard's Assimilate deck using obviously what do you call double cross leader. And in the recent patch, Nilfgaard got two nerfs, provision nerfs to Terra Nova and Bradens. And I mean, all of the Nilfgaard decks are 2 points less, weaker than they used to be, as an obvious result. And the new cards that have been printed really focus on Enslave leader ability in John Calvate and Ardal. However, it looks like John Calvate can also be played in other leaders. People kind of underestimated the card when it was first announced. I always liked it, but I always thought, like, this is an Enslave, card. Because let's take a look at the card and then talk about him in more detail. I mean, as you see, sort the cards in your deck from the highest to lowest provision cost when you play him, so that's really helpful in the game, obviously. But you gotta play a card like this early in the game so that you have advantage for the rest of the game. So but this card, I mean, you are guaranteed to draw this card earlier. How is that possible? Well, this card moves itself by up one position in the deck for each tactic in your starting deck. So when you're playing an Enslave deck, I mean, you at least have 8 tactics in your deck. So, I mean, it's not guaranteed, but you're pretty much, guaranteed to draw him in the first round. But I mean, at worst case scenario, second round. If you're playing Enslave 6, I mean, that's a guaranteed draw in the first round. I mean, Enslave 6 is weak, and Enslave leader ability overall is not really a great leader ability, but I mean, looking at Nilfgaard's leader abilities, I mean, none of them are really great. So the double cross and imprisonment, I think, are the best of the worst. I mean, I wish they kind of made some adjustments to Nilfgaard's existing leader abilities, like, imposter, imprisonment. They're similar abilities. And the luck leader ability is terrible, the current situation with that ability. Anyway, I mean, that's a discussion. That's a topic for another discussion. So I'm going to focus on the Assimilate. So what I'm trying to say is John Calvate can also be used in Assimilate decks, as long as you're playing a decent amount of tactic cards. And if you remember the last season's, Assimilate decks, they usually run at least 6 tactic cards in their deck. So, I mean, compared to 8, it isn't that much of a difference. I mean, you may not draw John Calvate in the first round, but I mean, drawing him in the second round is really valuable. And Assimilate, decks have really good high value gold cards. And when you miss one of them, you lose the game. It is that critical. So what John Calvate do is you're guaranteed to draw all your gold cards when you play him. And that's really great for Nilfgaard. Maybe not for other factions, but it's really crucial for Nilfgaard. You gotta draw them. I mean, Terra Nova and Bradens, I mean, Invocation, they are just, game-changing cards. And that's why you need to draw them. But I mean, in order to draw them, you're sacrificing a gold card because, John Calvate is just 8 points. But 8 points isn't that bad, I guess. So I think it compensates for what he does for time provisions. So basically, you throw away Mano, and Mano is usually used for consistency purposes. So that's why I think the current version of Double Cross is slightly stronger than the previous season's one. Well, I mean, yeah, when you think about the provision changes, I think it's basically the same strength, but not as strong as Jackpot. So I don't think it's a tier 1 or tier 0 deck, but it's one of the best decks in the game. So let's take a look at the current situation of Nilfgaard, and I think I gotta delete a deck here. Yeah, let's delete this one. And let's build our deck from the scratch, just as we did for Jackpot. So since we're playing Assimilate and the best Nilfgaard cards are now focused on Assimilate engine, so that's why we're gonna use the best leader for Assimilate, which is Double Cross. Okay, so our stratagem should be Magic Lamp, because the deck relies on too much reactivity. So we don't have a lot of proactive cards, that's why we need Magic Lamp. I mean, if we play Tactical Advantage into one of the, let's say, an Assimilate engines, that's trouble. We don't want a unit that big in the first round. I mean, it could get poisoned and so on. And anyway, okay. So, what are your guaranteed? Your standard inclusions into the Assimilate deck? Well, obviously, Arthur Terranova is the strongest card in this deck, and the Braden. So, those are like the powerful duo of this deck. Let's add them. And then, what else? Well, obviously you need coup de grace, so that's a given. And we're also playing Jean Calveit because, you know, that's the reason we're shooting this video, the Calveit version. And then what else do we need? Well, in some versions, people do not prefer to use Joachim, but I mean, especially with Jean Calveit, Joachim is a must. Why is that? Because, I mean, Jean Calveit, you know, sorts the cards in a specific order, and when you're playing Joachim, you know, the risk of playing him is you don't know what you're drawing. But with Calveit, you know what you're drawing, so you're not gonna draw your Mage Assassin or anything like that. So that's why this is a must, definitely standard inclusion. And what are the other goals? Well, obviously you need Yennefer's Invocation, and then Lydia, again, is a must here. Great for Assimilate. Even if you're not playing Assimilate, she's just a really great value card. And in this meta, I mean, there are really some critical cards that you want to play from your opponent's graveyard. You can use them to your advantage. I mean, if the opponent isn't, you know, playing special cards, you can just play her on melee row and, you know, get a random, you know, good spell or something like that. Okay, so these are our standard inclusions, and we need another high provision gold card here, and we're gonna play Mushy Truffle because it's so great with Assimilate. Because the golden growth is coming outside your deck and it triggers all the Assimilate value cards, Assimilate engines. And on top of that, the bonded card, Illusionist, is a pretty good card. I wouldn't say great, but it's pretty good. So we're gonna have to include at least one Illusionist in this deck so that we can play Mushy Truffle. And then we're gonna need our thinning cards. So that's why we need the Assassin and Lightmaker combo. So 4 of them. And then since we're playing Bradens, we're gonna have to include, hold on. Infiltrator and Emissary. Let's add them as well. Where is she? These are our 5, yeah, there they are. And as a tip, I mean, you could, it's better to, you know, include the non-premium versions so that you can, when you're playing Remedy or something like that, and when you play them, you know that, if you played Bradens earlier, you can tell which one is from your deck or outside your deck, so, but you usually don't want to play your Bradens in the first round, but I mean, you never know. But I'm adding the premiums, but I mean, as a side note, you could consider doing that. And then, what else? Well, we're gonna need some tactics, right? So I already have a coup de grace here. So that's our first tactic. How many tactics do we need? I would recommend 7 tactics. So a couple of turning jousts and Diplomacy are pretty good here. Especially Turning Just is great for killing Elven Seers against Azure decks. And Diplomacy is also great for playing Simless. So if you're playing Scoia'tael, make sure that the Diplomacies are in your deck. In the previous patch, we were doing it for Experimental Remedy, but with this version, when you're playing Junkalwait, you usually don't end up with a Remedy in your hand. And since we can't play Remedy in the first round, normally, you never really need 2 remedies. Unless, you know, you spend everything in the first 2 rounds, and then in the final round, I mean, they could be valuable, but I mean, you may not have assimilate engines and anyway. So I would definitely recommend only 1 remedy. That's why, I mean, you need 2 turn adjust here. Okay, so 2, 4, 5, so we have 6 tactic cards. Let's say, I mean, these are our standard inclusions, so you don't know what to add next. Because, I mean, in any versions, I mean, you gotta have these. And then Vigo is a pretty good card here. For 8 provision. Because he assimilates, he's an assimilate engine, and then, yeah, you can play one of the bronzes here. Especially if you can hit Duchess, Informant, and Emissary, that's very good. And also, let's not forget about the Torture. She gives Veil. And she gives Spying. And she has Veil, which could be valuable in this meta. And when you give Spying, I mean, you're going to have your Terra Nova targets here. And I think this is the deck. So what about the remaining 12 provisions? What are we going to add here? So that's the question. Well, you can go in multiple ways here. One of them is playing Bribery as your 7th tactic card, and 7 tactics is pretty good here. And for the final 4 provision slot, I'm gonna suggest 2 options here. You can use one of them. The first option is adding Infiltrator as the 3rd Braddon's target. Why are we adding this? Well, in this meta, I mean, you're gonna see a lot of units next to each other. And there's the Saskia threat. Although she's not gonna kill Saskia, you may need 2 of her. But we are also running, you know, Mage Assassin and Blight Maker combo. So there is a chance that you could kill Saskia with Infiltrator and an additional, you know, damage from Blight Maker. But you could play 2 Infiltrators. How can you do that? I mean, maybe you play one of them from your hand and another from Vigo or, you know, Braddon's spawn. And it's definitely worth playing Braddon's if you're gonna kill Saskia. So this is the first option, but I really don't like this choice. But if you're seeing a lot of Scoia'tael, I would definitely recommend her. And why do I not recommend it? Because, I mean, there are already a lot of bronzes for Vigo selections. Blight Maker, Mage Torture, Informant, Illusionist, Mage Assassin, and Emissary 6. So this is their 7th bronze card. Although she is a spy, and playing spies with Vigo is pretty good, I mean, still you're diluting the pool, your selection pool, and most of the time you really want Informant and then Emissary. You don't want the other selections. Sometimes Mage Torture could be really good here, because in this version that I'm putting here, as you see, the only way you can give Spying is Mage Torture. And we're not running 4 card here. So that's why you gotta be really selective when you're playing Mage Torture. You don't want to just play her. You gotta be careful about your selections. And so that's why the value of Terra Nova is kind of critical here. Anyway, so what if I don't want to put Mage Infiltrator? What can you add here? And the second one is adding another, actually, Illusionist. And multiple illusions is not bad, because when you play this deck, you're going to see that you're going to run out of units. And when you're playing Joachim, I mean, getting an Illusionist isn't bad. I mean, it's going to come out as 12. And there will probably be another Illusionist on the board. even if you don't have one. I mean, it's difficult to kill any 12 powered illusions, so it's not a bad choice for Joachim. And since you're sorting the deck out, you're not gonna get assassin. That's pretty much guaranteed. So illusion could be a good choice here. There is also this. I'm surprised that this card is not seeing a lot of play, but it is what it is for Nilfgaard. The bronzes are pretty good, so that you can cut this Planet Turncoat card. I think she's a really good card, but in this list, unfortunately, we can't fit her. What you can do is you can add this, but then again, Vigo gets worse. And I would really pick the info. I keep forgetting her name. The infiltrator over Planet Turncoat. But if I rank these 3-4 provision units, I mean, my first choice is the second illusionist, and then infiltrator, and then turncoat if you really have to. Why are we putting this? Because I mean, as you see, there are only 2 mage tortures that can give spying, and this is your third option, so that's why she's good. Well, you can give her a try, by the way. But as you see, the list is really strict. We don't have a lot of flexibility here. But let's talk about this second version, the alternative to this, which I really like, actually. So let's get back to the previous version where we had 12 provisions remaining. In this version, I'm going to add Fur card. And with Fur card, I mean, you can draw 1 more card from your deck. And if you sorted out the deck with your Calvate, you know what you're drawing, which is really an advantage. And on top of that, I mean, we're running 7 tactic cards, and Fur cards will definitely play a couple of, tactic cards. And with those, you're gonna give spying. And then more targets for Terra Nova, which is good. That's why I like Fur card. But Fur card could be awkward in sometimes. And also bribery is, I mean, it's a gamble. You could play for a 5 or 6 point bribery, and then you can just win the game with your bribery roll. And that's why I don't like that. I don't like RNG cards. So my personal preference is Fur card. But I mean, people are, I think, preferring bribery over Fur cards. I understand that. And we can see the results, actually. I mean, you can easily win the game with a bribery roll. Okay, so what about the final 5 power, 5 provision costs? Well, since I cut bribery, I need another tactic. And tactic for 5 provision is, I'm gonna select assassination here, not remedy. Corded weapons could be a choice as well. Well, I mean, if you like, you could use corded weapons, and people could think that you're playing clog. Well, the advantage of corded weapons is you clog your opponent if you're targeting a bronze card. But sometimes, I mean, you're not gonna find a target, and you may have to use it on a gold card, which isn't ideal. So, the advantage of these 2 cards over remedy is you can use these in the first round. And you're not going to want them in the final round anyway, because you're going to be drawing all your golds. So these are pretty good round 1 cards. Experiment, the remedy isn't. Remedy is a 2nd round or 3rd round cards, worst case scenario. And sometimes, especially if you're playing Fur card, it's good to play Fur card, remedy, and then draw your next gold, something like that. So that's a pretty good line. So anyway, I'm using assassination, but I mean, you could use coded weapons if you want to. So that's all I have to say about these selections for double cross. Well, obviously there are a lot of good Nilfgaard cards, but I really don't want to. I don't recommend you to touch the core of this deck. I mean, you could go crazy and add Vilgeforce, and especially, I mean, after I shot this video for toxic decks, I've been seeing a lot of Cantarillas locations, and that dumb shit again. Why are people playing it? I have no idea. And I mean, 3 out of 4 times they fail miserably, but still people play those cards instead of this. I mean, this is a really stable, solid deck. Plenty of consistency. You know what you're drawing. At the end of the game, if you lose the game, it's basically your fault. It's not that, oh, I couldn't draw my cards. You don't have to cry about it because you're drawing all your cards with junk elevate. It all depends on your micro strategy selections, and especially macro game plan is also important, whether you want to bleed or not, and so on. And if we want to talk about that as well, I know the video is taking long. You can always skip to the games that I'm going to share today. Keep that in mind. But I mean, well, if you're playing against jackpots, I'm just going to talk about the top decks in the game. Jackpot's short round is crazy good with King of Beggars and Savola combo, so you don't want to play a final short round. And even if you have card advantage, so it's really a good idea to take the round control and then bleed the opponent. I'm sorry, take the round control and play a long round. In a long round, I mean, your assimilate engines could, bring you a lot of points. If the opponent is playing, bounty, that could be a problem. And then your tortures are really important, so you could send them back to your deck and then play Joachim and play tortures with Joachim. They're impossible to kill for the bounty player, so I would recommend playing that line, and then try to grab something good with your double cross leader ability. And then your Terra Nova target is important. Professor is a very good target. I would recommend that. And sometimes Savola, I mean, you can easily profit for 9 coins in your bank, so that's an option. So in the long round, there's a chance you could win against that really good deck. I wouldn't recommend bleeding the opponent. I mean, you could bleed yourself out because you're probably gonna play your Calvate. But if you somehow, let's say, win an even, you could think about bleeding, especially if you didn't play your Calvate. If you're gonna trade your bronzes with their golds, that could be an option. What about Squirtle matchup? I'm just gonna talk about the Alzur version. Traps are not being played as often. With Alzur, it's okay to pass if you think you're gonna lose. Let the opponent have round control. You could defend the bleed. You have leader. I mean, you have threatening cards like Vocation and so on. Still, it's a difficult matchup. You gotta play really carefully. Try to copy your Elven Seer, because you have Mushy Truffle as well, and Mushy Truffle onto Elven Seer is a pretty good combo. And who knows, maybe you can play your Alzur, and then there's Invocation, which is a spell. So you could benefit from Alzur as well. So I think it's a winnable matchup. And I think it's a 50-50 toss-up. But there's a strong chance that the opponent may not draw as he wants to, because your deck is much better in terms of consistency when compared to Alzur decks. Alzur decks have lots of bricks. But still, I mean, you want to play a long round against Alzur decks. You don't want to go for a short round, anyway, obviously. But I mean, at the end of second round, you gain card advantage. You could always invo their, Gort. So that's also a win con. What about other decks? Well, I think against Battle Trance, you want to win the first round, and then bleed the opponent. It doesn't matter if you lose your card advantage. You usually win a short round, especially if you can bleed out the opponent's Gedinith. We're not running Heatwave, so forcing your opponent to play Gedinith in the second round is amazing. And most of the time, I mean, you could win 2-0 against Battle Trance. So that should be our objective. Play your Calvate and play all your gold cards in the second round and just win the game. No third round, and that's pretty good. And then what opponents do we have against vampires? Well, Regis is a great finisher. Yeah, you have invocation for that, but I mean, you may not have a last say. So copying vampires is pretty important here. I mean, you could win against, I think, your favorite, but you gotta be careful as well. And against Skellige, well, I think you're most of the time favorite, but if you're on blue coin and I mean, Skellige pirates, I would say. Battle Trance is also Skellige. So pirates could win uneven and bleed you out. So that's the risk. So if you're on blue coin, try to make up as much points as possible to get out of the round. Because that's a really dangerous deck to play against. But if you can, you know, if you're on red coin, I think you're totally fine against pirates. Because, you know, Fukusio is a phenomenal target for your Terra Nova, so don't forget about that. And what else do we have left as factions? We talked about Syndicate. I'm not going to talk about Northern Realms, they're not an issue. And if you're facing a Northern Realms deck, Nilfgaard is usually favored against it. So no need to talk about that. And in Mirrors, well, it's a tricky matchup. Having last say is important, I guess. You got to be careful about board space. That could be a problem. And you probably don't want your illusionists, and try to fill the opponent's board with your spies as much as possible, but don't forget that if you fill it too much, you may not play your cards onto opponent's side of the board. So there's a really fine balance. It's one of the most difficult matchups in the game. Nilfgaard versus Nilfgaard, Assimilate versus Assimilate. Okay, so I talked too much. I'm gonna show you only 2 games. Hope you like them, and see you in another Duello video. Bye bye. Okay, we're facing vampires on blue coin. Okay, so these are our 2 obvious mulligans. And I have a tourney joust and an assassination. Well, I think I need to get rid of one of them. Or maybe keep those 2 and get rid of diplomacy here. Okay, so the objective here is not to lose uneven. That's all that matters right now. And I think... yeah, let's start with diplomacy here. Well, I'm not gonna benefit from Thrive. There is also Death Wish option. But I mean, opponent is smart, so he should pay attention to which row he's gonna play. I don't know. So how many thrives will I get anyway? Couple, I guess. So I think this is better. Okay, another Bruxa. Let's play this then. This is not a great target. Because, you know, well, not much though. Not that important, I guess. And we're gonna get another Thrive trigger here. Okay, opponent's playing slow. It's interesting. The vampire's opponent should, you know, try to be more aggressive, I guess. But he isn't doing that. I don't know why. I think I'm gonna go for a joust here. Now we have a Bruxa for our Terra Nova target. Double cross, Alders double cross, okay. Okay, interesting line of play. I could mage torture that. Then opponent could go ahead and, you know, tempo ahead. But I think I'm gonna keep playing.
I need not spill blood to make you suffer like never before.
Here comes Necrot, so the next units will be Flatter, I guess. So I think I can survive Flatter if I play this.
I forgive you. This time.
Yeah. Okay, just losing 2 points here. But I mean, playing anything further is a risk. What the hell is this? Okay, so my mom was playing this deck this morning. Mixing vampires with random stuff. But if this isn't my mom, the guy could be in trouble because only my mom can win with that kind of a deck, in my opinion. Okay, so I think I need the invocation. Okay. Sabbath, sure. Okay, so I can invocate this, but it is doomed. So it's not gonna put it at the top of my deck. I think I'm gonna play as okay, so he's got all the answers. Playing very confidently here. Well, the thing is, I can do that as well. But do I want to do it right now or later? I think later is better. So I'll be controlling a vampire as well. Droner. Well, not anymore. I kinda need a vampire. So, you know, Feast of Blood would be useful. This is exactly, you know, my amounts list, by the way.
Reality is that which the belief in the war does not know.
Oh god.
His minions
Granted, strong and skillfully imposed.
Let's play our leader. Okay, spawn and summon a base copy from your hand. That's not really bad, actually. But I think this one's better. So if he's gonna play Oriana, I'm gonna play Bradens and use Drowner on that. Yeah, there is Oriana.
True love could lift the curse, but who would love such a freak?
My duty? To stick my nose where it doesn't belong.
Smooth her. And okay. At least this is a non-devotion version. Okay, I'm bleeding for like what? 6 points. That's 10. I mean, I don't think I have to use Mushy Truffle right now. No, I had to. Okay. That's big. I don't want to Joachim here.
Everyone has their secrets. Everyone.
I'm getting boost from Oriana, right? Okay, so the calculation for bleeding is kind of, you know, mixed up. Could be confusing. There's operator. What was that? Okay, so I'm ahead by 3 points, but I'm gonna lose a lot, but I think this would do. Oh my god, by 1 point. What a risky move I made here. But that's gonna win me the game. Probably. But there will be a huge Regis if he can draw. Okay, so Vigo and Blightmaker are my two top decks. Where did this come from? Okay. Let's start with this. That's a bad draw.
You will not regret this, good sir. The shame I have told you.
Okay, that's. I mean, it would have been better if I had the other spy, but it's still better than the other options. So that was the second best option, I would guess. That's quite bad.
A fine vintage it would have made.
.21 lead is huge.
And if I insert a needle here, what then?
It's closer than I thought. Well, that was a stressful game, and I think I was kind of lucky because, I mean, I thought I would have passed the opponent with my invocation move. But I didn't expect it to be that close. So, yeah. If that would have ended in a tie or something like that, you know, that would have been a disaster. Okay, so in the second game, I'm gonna make a play-by-play commentary here because it was an interesting game. So this is not a live recording. Okay, I'm facing up the books. It's not jackpot as you see. Then it means that we're gonna see a lot of tribute cards in this deck. And here's my opening hand. It's full of bronzes. Obviously, we're sending away Mage Assassin here. And then double Tourney Jaws and double Diplomacy here. That's not really great. And there's that Remedy. It's really... I mean, we don't know if we can find the unit in the graveyard, but we have double Tourney Jaws, so who knows, maybe we can kill a unit and then resurrect it with a Remedy. So I'm gonna send away Diplo here, and then we get Terra Nova. Okay, so that's good, but we don't have John Calvate here, which is really rare, to be honest with you. It means that he was really close to the bottom of the deck. And this list is the one with bribery. So this is the bribery version. I want blue coin, which is not great. I wish I had emissary instead of the spy card here, the other spy card. Okay, so I flipped the lamp and played Diplo here. As you see, the Diplo choices aren't great. Scapegoat is just 4 points. Gonna damage set by 3. This tech trafficker is 3 points, but I'm gonna have 3 points plus 3 coins, but the opponent could be running poisons. I think it's too risky, so I'm gonna just play the Lonely Champion. So both are 4 points, but at least Lonely Champion does have immunity, so opponent can't put bounty on it or poison it. So still, I mean, pretty bad diplomacy. And especially I didn't have an assimilate engine, so I couldn't get additional points from that. What can you do? Okay, so the opponent is taking his time, and while doing that, I mean, let's, okay, here comes Fistek. This puts me in a bad position here, because there are no targets that I can interact with. I can play Tourney Joust on an immunity unit, and obviously I can play Tourney Joust on my already poisoned unit there. So I think I'm gonna have to play Blade Maker and lose 2 points because there are no units on the board, but this is the best choice. So if the opponent plays another poison, I'm gonna be really pissed. But at least I can play a defensive Tourney Joust. Well, Sewer Raiders is a bad target. I can't copy that with my spy. I mean, I can, but it's just a 4-point card. So what I'm gonna do is Tourney Joust, or I can play defensive one, but since I have Remedy in my hand, I can kill one of them and maybe, you know, resurrect it with a Remedy, just in case. Although this is a pretty bad card. Here comes Gellert. So it's a good thing that I killed that unit, because there would be more units for Gellert to poison. And unfortunately, this version isn't running Assassination. And by the way, I mean, if I was playing coded weapons instead of Assassination, I mean, I'm just talking about, you know, hypothetical scenarios, that would have been a really bad choice. So Assassination is better in this case. You definitely don't want another Gellert in opponent's deck, although you kill this one. So what I can do is I can Mage Torture and copy that. But I suspect Mage Tortures will be more valuable in the further rounds, but because it looks like whenever we see Poison Package right now, Salamander decks are popular, so I suspect this is a Salamander deck. And if I keep playing, I could be in trouble. That's why, I mean, since when I had 7 cards, I preferred to pass. Although the opponent will probably go for a long round, but I think Nilfgaard's long round is still good. And besides, I didn't have Jean Calvate. So now, as you see, it is the next card on the list. You never miss him. Okay, we send away Assassin. Again, I expect the opponent to go for a long round. Maybe he'll play a couple of cards before passing. So Jean Calvate is good here, most definitely. If he goes for a bleed here, I think I can defend it. And then play my goals in the final round. Okay, so I got away the spy card. Because I don't think I will find a good bronze targets here. Okay. So let's see what the opponent will play. He can play 2 cards and then pass. Here comes Soul. And for some odd reason, the opponent does not use the leader. So Soul doesn't get horde value. Makes no sense. And for, I mean, I thought Soul got boosted up to 7 at this stage. But that's why I'm thinking what to do. And after that, I realized that he's only 4. So this is probably the first time I'm killing a soul with a 4-point damage card. He just threw it like if it's a, you know, crappy bronze card. I mean, it could have been much more useful in the final round. I have no idea why he did that. Maybe the rest of the hand is ridiculously great. So, but then, you know, he could have just passed here. Instead, he just sacrificed soul for no reason. And I think his hand is too good. And he just didn't risk going for a bleed, although he could have played one more card, but I mean, the next card is probably another gold. So since he passed, I'm gonna play my Calvate and guarantee to draw my golds here. And actually, I have a lot of bronze cards. So there is a chance that I could miss one of my gold cards here. I mean, probably bribery. I could have played another bronze here, because if this is a Salamander deck and it looks like it's gonna be that one, we don't want too many units on the board, because Roland will get huge. So I could have played one of the soldiers here, but I mean, would it matter? I don't think so. When I said soldier, I mean illusions are soldiers slash mage. Okay, so we know what we're drawing. So we need the remaining gold cards. I still have plenty of mulligan choices. Here comes Joachim. I need invocation in my hand. I still have 2 mulligans, so that's that's not too difficult to get. Okay, so as you see, there isn't anything amazing in the graveyard, and since I'm gonna use one of the bronzes for illusionist, I don't think I need remedy, so I threw that away. And the top card of my deck should be Vigo, and then bribery, but I'm not going to be able to draw bribery because I'm not running fur card, and if I'm running fur card, I can't run bribery anyway. So we're going to be missing one gold card here. Okay, I'll start with the Mushy Truffle, and to Edict, I could have started with the Illusionist himself before playing Truffle, because I mean, maybe I could have played one of the Assimilate engines, and after playing Assimilate, when you play Truffle, you're gonna get one more Assimilate point, so maybe I lost a point here. Here comes Fistek onto the Illusionist, so it's pretty much guaranteed, verified that I'm running against Salamander here. And the opponent uses the rest of the leader to reach 9 coins. He wanted to get the boat out. Okay. Although, I mean, he really didn't need it to. Okay, so I played the second one and got another Edict out. So if he poisons the Edict, that's fine. He's gonna boost himself. Although, I mean, he is gonna die anyway. But as you see, the other option was just a bad, Sewer Raider, which doesn't do anything. At least this is better. Okay, so the rest of my hand are gold cards and 2 mage tortures, which are better than gold in this matchup because they have veil, both have veil, which is amazing. Okay, here comes Fistek Trafficker. Fistek Trafficker is a really good card to copy. And I could do that with Bradens, but I think it's a bit early to play Bradens right now because, I mean, who am I going to poison? The Redanian? So I should be patient about that. But I could play one of my Mage Torture and at least get a target for Terranova. So that's an option. But I prefer to go for... And this is really a surprising development because I was waiting for Vigo. But during the Mulligan stage, I sent one of the illusions back to the deck. And for some reason, that card was the top deck. It's really low probability there. When you look at it, 1 out of 9 probability, so about 12% chance, but it happened. Yeah, definitely would have preferred Vigo here. But I mean, the next target would be Vigo, so that's fine. But still, I mean, as you see, legions are just only pulling 4 power units. But I mean, drawing Blightmaker, so the next target was going to be Blightmaker. That's not great either. Yeah, I know Blightmaker brings out more points, but he also brings more units on the board. So we don't want a lot of units on the board against Salamander. But still, I think it would have been better. And we'll see if we're going to run out of board space. So this is a very early play here. But by the way, he loses 2 points here because he already had 9 coins. And when you... Yeah, he lost 2 points because he's not playing Jackpot. And I mean, if you want to play Salamander, maybe you should go for Jackpot here, not off the books. But as you see, King of Beggars isn't out. I mean, some of my viewers would be surprised where is King of Beggars and why does he have 9 coins if the King of Beggars is in the opponent's hand. Well, the thing is, off the books leader ability reduces the tributes by 1. So when you play Savola, you only need to tribute 8 coins, and 8 tribute isn't enough to get the King of Beggars out. So he needs to play another card. So that card is going to be obviously Salamander. So as you see, I mean, this is pretty good, but he doesn't have a spender on the board. which is concerning for the opponent. And I have a tall unit there. And also, if I can find the coins, I could give Svine to Savola. But instead, I think I'm gonna play Bradens and copy a Fistek Trafficker and poison the 12 powered unit. And poisoning their units is good because Salamander will kill them. Actually, the opponent could have not played their Traffickers against Nilfgaard. Okay, so I'm gonna go for the second Joachim because that's what I'm gonna do. I don't expect to play their units. Now I can play this. This was a pretty good roll, by the way, from Vigo. So instead of playing Bradens, I played Trafficker. Now that's poisoned. And the second poison would kill the Frightener, but instead opponent is playing this card from his hand. So, I mean, that mutagen card is good, but not good enough to be played in a main deck, in my opinion. But as the opponent is playing Salamander, I think he put it in his deck and gave Veil to Frightener. Putting Veil on the Frightener means that the card is immune to probably anything. I mean, I can't poison it anymore, and the opponent's poison will have no effect. And if I try to give Spying to that, it's not going to give Spying due to Veil, so I can't do that. That's why I'm hesitating there. So instead, what is a better target? What is the next best target there? I think Savola. And when doing that, I mean, yeah, you could also give Traffickers flying, but I'm gonna go for Savola here. Who knows? Maybe I can find 7 coins to pay the tribute. Here comes Hideout. Hideout is a crucial card in this matchup. And Abominations will purify themselves at the end of the round, and that's really great for Salamander. And that's also a really good target for me. I can play Bradens and copy that, although I don't have coins to poison the Abomination. There's also another 9, but I don't remember if I'm going to do it this turn. Yeah, I'm going to do it next turn, I guess. Okay, so I give Veil to Abomination. The Veil will be purified at the end of the turn, but it doesn't matter because I already gave Veil to that, and Terra Nova will remember that. So one more target for Terra Nova. Okay, 2 choices here. I could go for Bradens or Lydia. I really want to see what the opponent is having in his hands, but before playing that, I think I should get more assimilate value, but I gotta be fast here and play the Informant and copy Abomination. Now we have a copy of Abomination, and as you see, the opponent is running a double Salamander with Renew. So that is interesting, and also as Roland's. So we don't know what the 4th card is. Definitely Roland is the best choice here. Playing Salamander would be stupid. Okay, so the 4th card was Vivaldi Bank. We didn't see Azar Javed. So either he's not running, but I mean, yeah, if he was running, he would have drawn it because he had enough coins. So it's really a weird choice to cut Azar Javed from this deck. Because he doesn't have Defender, which means great news for me. So I can invo the invo Roland. So it looks like a victory for now. And also I have a pretty good plan here. And I could have done it a couple of turns earlier, but I mean, I got additional points from Assimilate. by doing this, I'm gonna play the mutagen card with Lydia and give one of my big units Veil. So when Salamander hits, that's gonna be saved. I'm gonna get 4 coins, which is useless right now. So as you see, I have 20 powered Veiled Vigo here. So Vigo is immune to Salamander Wipeout. Here comes Roland, so that's no-brainer. I'm gonna invocate that. So that's half of their victory conditions, but there's still the renew Salamander combo. How is he gonna renew that? Well, you're gonna see how. He needs to play Salamander, and that's gonna kill 2 of my units. And also, Abomination will boost itself and get purified, so that's nice. But the opponent has 3 Abominations. And as you see, the King of Pepper came out with only 1 coin, because he was already used in Savola. So he's not a great fit, to be honest with you. And the opponent kills the Salamander with his hideout. So that's how you can kill it. I mean, he used the other brother, Gellert, in the first round, so he couldn't self-poison that Salamander. So instead, he had to use the location. I mean, he could have used location to kill one of my, important units here. But I mean, there's nothing he can do to send Salamander back to his graveyard. At this point, I wasn't really paying attention, and I was wondering how he killed Salamander. And because of that, I'm gonna make a mistake here. It's a minor mistake, but it could have affected the end of the game. And interesting thing that I want to highlight here, all of a sudden I have 9 coins. And how did I get 9 coins? Thanks to my Roland play here. Because the opponent poisoned plenty of units, and Roland boosted. Although my leader isn't jackpot, so I mean, no over profits, but still, I mean, I had 4 coins because of that stratagem, I mean, mutagen, and I got 5 more from poisoning thing from the opponent's side of the board, and I have 9 coins. And I have Savola for a huge value. I have 9 coins, I pay my tribute. Here's the mistake that I made, the role placement. Okay, so let's take a look at that. Why role placement is important? Because of the Bashi Truffle here. I need 3 units that will be boosted by 2. He's obviously gonna play the Salamander, so all these poisoned units will die. So I gotta put 3 units next to each other that won't die. And I should have either put... Well, are there... Yeah, I should have put Terra Nova here, and then put these 2 next to the other, or just put Savola here, because this is gonna get purified at the end of the turn. And anyway, in a way, I mean, 3 units should have been this. I definitely did not expect. Okay, so for some reason the voice came back. As you see, I'm gonna use these 3, so I mean, this is Veil, so it makes sense, but the mistake here is boosting this. So I'm losing 2 points here by boosting the Trafficker. So that's a mistake. So if I lost this game by 3, that would have been a disaster. So here comes Salamander. A wipeout. So the opponent also wipes some of his units. And as you see, opponent stayed at 60, and I'm going down to 81. So still a 20-point blowout. But still, I mean, I should have been more careful. But I mean, most of my plays were, I think, correct. Playing Salamander and Renew is kind of crazy in this meta. I think it's a meme deck. If you still want to play Salamander, you should go for Jackpot because it's really difficult to identify what the opponent is playing. I mean, you could think that the opponent is playing a regular Jackpot deck, but if you can't figure that out and you don't have an answer for the Azar Javed, you could end up dead. Okay, so that's it. I hope you liked my deck critics and then the 2 games that I shared with you today. And thank you for all your support and see you in another Duello video. Bye bye.